Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Nicole put down the books that she was holding. A hint of deep thoughts flashed past her eyes. I should focus on studying now, isn't it? Go back to your seats. Lulu and the others were embarrassed to stand. They quickly went back to their seats and sat down. Nicole was even more imposing after becoming the class monitor. No one dared to go against her. Soon, the teacher came to the class. But Nicole sent a message to Zeke secretly while thinking, my face can't be exposed online anymore. Zeke should be able to handle this kind of small matter. Sure enough, Zeke switched on his computer immediately after receiving Nicole's message. He started working right away. Soon, all the pictures related to Nicole were destroyed. News online spread fast. It did not take long for Jared to learn about it. He had known Nicole was hurt yesterday, but he did not know Lloyd carried her. After looking at the trending post on his phone, he frowned as he stared at Max and asked, "Did this happen yesterday? Why didn't I know about it?" Max bowed his head after he heard Jared's question. He answered, "We didn't know about this either. We didn't expect the media to leak it." Jared frowned slightly as he heard that. What was Lloyd's intention? He thought, Lloyd was awarded the best actor. Every news about him that was leaked must have been approved by Nichelle. She actually allowed gossip like that about her son goes public. What was her intention? A hint of concern flashed upon Max's eyes as he looked at Jared's face. I'm afraid that they have some ulterior motive. Lloyd's current production team's auditioning for their lead actress role. Before they went to Royal Creek Institute, all the classes were asked to prepare for a performance. Max was nervous as he thought about that. He was afraid that Jared would be unhappy. Jared noticed Max's emotions quickly. He could not help but frown. You've warned the Holder family, right? Jared thought, the last time I came back, I'd already told Max to warn the Holder family not to bother Nicole anymore. Why is Lloyd still bothering her? Max's eyes were filled with grievances as he stared at Jared. He complained, "Boss, the Holder family has been doing well in the showbiz. They wouldn't care about what I said even if I'd warned them." Jared looked at Max as he said coldly, "You're right. For the past 2 years, the Holder family has progressed rapidly. It's time for Lloyd to get a taste of defeat." Max said nervously as he thought Jared was angry, "Are we going against the Holder family now?" Jared had many troubles to face with. It was not the right time to act overtly hostile to the Holder family. Although Jared was not happy with Max's doubt, he did not blame him. He stood up slowly and walked toward the window. Well, this is the Holder family's choice. It's only fair if we entertain them. Max stared at Jared. He immediately understood what Jared was thinking. Although this is not the right time to go against them, the Holder family made their choice. We could only make a counter move. Max, boss, what's your plan? He asked in a deep voice. Jared smiled coldly. He lowered his voice as he opened his mouth slowly. A hint of amusement flashed past Max's eyes as he heard what Jared said. As expected from my boss. His idea can solve the issue without a fuss. Max was relieved. I'll get right on it. Okay. Jared signaled him to leave. After Max left, Jared stared into the distance as he made a decision secretly. Seems like I have to get what's mine sooner. Only then will those people tremble before me, and those coveting my girl will know their place. Having a stunning and talented girlfriend sometimes can be trouble, huh? Classes for the day had ended. The next day was the weekend. Nicole got a call from her mother, Gloria, after school. Gloria asked Nicole to go back home to have a meal together and to accompany her for the next 2 days. Nicole's initial plan was to go home only after her wound was healed. But now, she had no choice but to forget it. She could only wear a long-sleeved shirt to go home with her 3 brothers. On the way home, Spencer was worried about Nicole. How's your wound? Nicole did not lie about it. Yesterday, Jared brought me to visit the best surgeon in San Joto. He said it wouldn't leave a scar on me. Really? Spencer was surprised. Samuel smiled surprisingly. Jared's not bad. Nicole smiled. Yes. He's not bad. She said to herself, Jared cared about me the most. Nicole smiled happily while talking about a guy. It was rather a rare sight to see, so Samuel teased her, not bad. If you want to get engaged with him, I'll support you. Spencer could not help but pull Samuel's arm. You have no principles. Samuel opened his eyes wide. What does this have to do with principles? As long as Nicole likes him, that's what matters. Am I right, Stanley? Samuel looked at Stanley to seek recognition. But Stanley shook his head. He disagreed with Samuel. Don't involve me in your argument with Spencer. Samuel and Spencer would always make up after their argument. But Stanley, on the other hand, would end up suffering the most whenever he became the third party being dragged into their argument. So, Stanley learned to stay out of it. Spencer lifted his chin as he looked at Samuel. Look, Stanley didn't even want to bother with you. He didn't bother with you either. Stanley looked at Nicole calmly while Samuel and Spencer were still arguing against each other. Nicole, I'll support whatever decision you make. After all, Mr. Riddle Sr. gave the order. Jared's not bad either. If Nicole agrees, there's no reason for us to oppose it. Okay. Nicole nodded her head gently. Soon, the four of them reached their home. After they got out of the car, without thinking, Spencer and Samuel tried to help Nicole out of the car. Nicole withdrew her hand quickly. Don't help me. Mom will know I'm injured if you guys help me. She thought, it's just a minor injury. But with their help, I'll look like I'm hurt badly. Samuel and Spencer withdrew their hands immediately. We almost got caught. Gloria's voice could be heard from the door after they said that. Who almost got caught? Samuel and Spencer were terrified. They were at a loss for words suddenly. Nicole was frustrated. She glanced at her brothers. It's nothing. Samuel and Spencer were fighting. Gloria knew the two of them always quarrel. So, she was not suspicious. You guys aren't kids anymore. You should act mature in front of your sister. Stop arguing. Samuel and Spencer did not talk back. That was the least they could do to keep the cat in the bag. They could only promise their mother, got it. Gloria walked back to the living room with her children, and Daniel welcomed them with a smile. You guys are back. Your mother could not stop talking about you guys all week long. You guys are finally home. When the four of them saw the other two people there, they said, Sean, Steve, you guys are home too. They rarely spent time together as a family, so Steve and Sean being there was a surprise. Yes. Sean smiled slightly. Thanks to you, the Riddle family's business partners have been stabilized. I have much more time now. There were quite a few business partners offering them collaboration ever since Mr. Wyant's visit to their house. Those contracts that were about to be terminated continued to be honored again. Hence, Sean had fewer things to worry about now. All thanks to you, Nicole, Steve smiled proudly. Nicole quickly said, it wasn't because of me. Mr. Wyant's is impartial. He helped us because you guys are competent. Sean and Steve glanced at each other. Although Nicole was still young, she knew when not to take credit. They were impressed. All right. It's difficult to get everyone in this family to gather. Let's sit down. The Riddle family was being bound hand and foot when Nora was still living with them. Now that she was gone, the Riddle family was finally truly reunited. Soon, the butler ordered people to serve food. The Riddle family sat together. That was the first time Nicole felt at home without outsiders. Got to say, the atmosphere in Nicole's family was way better compared to the time when Nora was still part of them. The Riddle brothers did not need to reserve from showing Nicole care. Nicole, try this. This is good. Spencer put food on Nicole's plate. Samuel poured a glass of juice for Nicole. This is very tasty. Thanks, brothers. Sean smiled as he saw Spencer and Samuel were being so attentive to Nicole. You guys, why are you being so attentive to Nicole? Spencer and Samuel glanced at each other. Damn it. Did we make it too obvious? What if the others suspect Nicole's injured? They quickly sat back down. Steve glanced at Nicole secretly. She looked like she did something wrong. Stanley dared not to look at Mom and Dad either. The four of them are hiding something. But Steve did not expose them. Instead, He took this chance to speak to his father. Ever since we got the land that the McCarthy family fought with us, our share price recovered. Sean secured a few projects as well. We finally turned the table around. Daniel was relieved. That's great. You guys should help your grandpa more. Got it? Okay. Steve smiled. I've handled our stock well. Don't worry, father. Daniel patted Steve on his shoulder satisfyingly. What's going on with the McCarthy family now? Daniel said that as he thought, they're not an easy foe. They suffered a loss. I'm afraid that they won't give up so easily. Steve glanced at Sean. Sean then said, after the loss, they lost a few of their important business partners to us. It appeared that they ran into a funding gap too. They probably don't have the time to deal with us. They have enough on their plate. Oh. Daniel froze slightly. No wonder they fought so hard with us over the land. Daniel thought, this year's economy is bad. Seems like the McCarthy family is affected too. He then reminded his sons, but do still be careful. The old crook from the McCarthy family is a handful. Got it? Sean nodded his head. He then looked at Daniel as he said, Dad, you actually know the company very well. Why don't you talk to Grandpa about? Daniel shook his head without letting Sean finish his sentence. It's all right. The company has always been managed by Damien and Dylan. I want to stay out of it. He preferred to spend more time with his children. Nicole realized something at this point. Everyone in the family had been saying that Dad left the company due to poor health. But only now do I know that Dad actually knows everything that's going on with the company. Just that the company isn't his priority. Nicole went upstairs leisurely to shower after dinner. Just when Nicole got out of the bathroom, Gloria brought a few outfits for her. Mother, why did you bring me so many things? Nicole's eyes were filled with surprise as she saw Gloria bringing her so many outfits. You tell me. Gloria reproached. Every girl likes to dress up. When Nora was still with us last time, she went shopping every weekend to buy clothes. But you only have a few clothes after you've been with us for so long. When it came to Nora, Gloria could not help but sigh a little. Back then, Nora was wastefully extravagant, but she did not say much about it. And now, Nicole's thoughtfulness and sensibleness made her heart ache, so she went and bought a few designer clothes for her girl. No need, Mom. My own clothes are comfortable. Although her clothes were simple, they were very comfortable. No refusing, Gloria said sternly. Mommy will only feel better if you accept them. Her back against the wall, Nicole could only agree. Okay. Then give them a try and see if they fit. If they don't, Mommy will take them back to the store to exchange. As she said that, Gloria took out the clothes and measured them on Nicole's body. Nicole was bad at trying out clothes, but at this moment, she could only let Gloria do as she pleased as the latter put on one outfit after another on her. My daughter sure is pretty. She looks good wearing anything. Gloria looked at Nicole in the mirror and nodded in satisfaction. Nicole was pretty surprised when she saw herself in the mirror. Gloria had indeed really dolled her up nicely. But this lace dress. It'll be very inconvenient if I get into a fight with someone. Gloria, however, was so happy that she pulled Nicole downstairs to show her off to her brother. Sean, Stephen, look, isn't Nicole pretty with this dress? Sean and Steve looked up and were stunned for a moment. They knew that Nicole was very beautiful, but after their mother dressed her up, Nicole looked like Aphrodite incarnate with her white dress and rhinestone hairpin. Whoa, Nicole, you're really beautiful. What's going on? Let me have a look. Samuel and Spencer rushed out of the room on the first floor. When Samuel caught sight of Nicole's gorgeous dress, he spat the water he was drinking. Tui! My goodness! Nicole, you're way too gorgeous in that! Samuel exclaimed. Spencer then hissed. Samuel, you filthy dog, go and wipe the floor. It was only then did Samuel put the cup down and go to wipe the floor. Stanley and Daniel, who were both in the study, also heard the commotion and came downstairs. Upon seeing Nicole looking so beautiful, a surprised look appeared in Stanley's eyes. I knew Nicole was beautiful, but I never thought that she'd be even more so after Mom's makeover. Even the usually dull Stanley was also effusive with his praise, causing Nicole to be a little embarrassed. Dear brothers, stop teasing me already. It was Mom who insisted on me trying out the clothes. It fits you very well, Sean said with a very elegant smile. Gloria looked at Daniel and said, Daniel, do you think our girl will look good in this dress at the Johnstons' banquet? The moment the words came out, only did Nicole realize something was going on. Mom, did you buy all these clothes for me, just because there's a banquet? Yes, it's the Johnston family's banquet this time. Oh. She had no idea, and Jared had not told her anything about it. It's expected that you had no idea. It's being hosted by Mr. Johnston Sr., and I heard that it's to announce the next heir to the Johnston Group. The news made Nicole frown as she could not help but think of Murphy, who had made a scene at the airport. She had investigated the background of the members of the Johnston Group in the past few days. Jared had been overseas all this while, so the company was under the management of his second uncle Henry. Henry's sons, Castor and Murphy, were the senior manager and deputy managers of a branch company. Although Murphy was useless, Castor, however, was not someone to be trifled with. But she also found out that Mr. Johnston Sr. called Jared back when he was approaching retirement, seemingly intending to let Jared take over the Johnston Group. Henry is, however, already very established in the company, and every single upper management persons were in line with him, making things very difficult for Jared. Yet, Mr. Johnston Sr. suddenly wanted to hold a banquet to announce his successor. That probably will confuse everyone. Who is he going to name as his successor? Seeing Nicole's expression turn glum, Sean knew that Nicole was thinking about something within, yet he still pretended to be calm and said, It's difficult for us outsiders to interfere with the matters of the Johnston family, but we still need to attend the banquet. After all, Mr. Johnston Sr. had helped them before and attended the Riddle family's banquet as well. How could they not attend this when even Mr. Riddle Sr. was the one personally making the trip? I understand. I will attend it. Nicole nodded. She knew that with her current relationship with Jared, it was indeed time for her to get a clearer picture of his situation. She could not just always have Jared help her out. She should find a way to help him back as well. Good then. Get ready in these few days. Daniel smiled genially. Nicole nodded. She knew that she must not cause the Riddle family to lose face, and so she needed to be prepared. The next afternoon, Nicole brought bags of items Gloria had prepared for her back to school as she planned to go back to the dormitory to familiarize herself with the matters she needed to deal with on Monday. However, just as she got off the car at the school gate, she was blocked by a car. Nicole frowned as she looked at the black car. She could tell at a glance its license plate meant that this was no ordinary person's car. Soon, a slim figure came down from the car. This was the first time Joyce saw Nicole, but the moment she saw her, Joyce could not help but be surprised. So, the Nicole that could influence Mr. Wyance is actually a girl about 18 to 19 years old, and she is such a beauty. Even as a lady, Joyce found herself to be a little jealous. She bit her lips and puffed up the chest she was proud of as she tried to make her look imposing as she said, You're Nicole? Nicole raised an eyebrow as she looked at Joyce's arrogant look and was instantly put off. Yes, and who are you again? Her rather discourteous response caught Joyce by surprise. Are young ladies these days also arrogant? However, at this point, she could only grit her teeth and say, We've not met before, but I'm sure you've heard of the McCarthy family, right? You're from the McCarthy family? Nicole eyed her coldly. It was only just Saturday when Sean spoke about them, and she did not expect someone from the McCarthy family to look for her so soon. Yes, I'm a daughter of the McCarthy family, Joyce McCarthy. Joyce proclaimed her name as she proudly crossed her arms before her. Yet, Nicole did not even pay her any heed. And, upon seeing Nicole was totally unperturbed, Joyce could not help but feel a little frustrated. After taking a deep breath, she calmed down somewhat. I'm here to see who's this person from the Riddle family that managed to sway Mr. Wyance. I never thought that she'd be just a brat. Nicole looked at Joyce's deliberately contemptuous look and said icily, If I'm a brat, you don't look much older than me either, no? She looked like she was about Martin's age, 24 or 25 years old. I did not expect you to have quite the sharp tongue. Seeing that Nicole was not about to step back, Joyce felt there was no longer a need to continue with the meaningless banter as she said, Let's cut to the chase. The reason I'm looking for you is that I know where you stand in Mr. Wyant's heart and your status in the Riddle family. We'll just consider the McCarthy family lost the last round. Recently, there's a new real estate project, and the McCarthy Corporation plans to work together with the Riddle family. Help me send the word back and see if they are willing to work with us or not. If they are, the McCarthy Corporation will split 40-60 with the Riddle Corporation. Nicole looked at Joyce with her smug look and felt a little disgusted. She knew the situation with the McCarthy family, and they were hoping to use this project to turn things around, so how could the Riddle Corporation step into this trap? So it seemed like Joyce was treating her as a normal high school student and wanted to hoodwink her and use her relationship with Mr. Wyant to influence his family's decision. She could not be bothered to think too much as Nicole spoke. No need. Joyce's originally gleeful face suddenly froze. What did you say? Her father had told her that as long as she got this ignorant girl who did not know anything to let slip words of attractive-sounding profit, then she could convince the Riddle family to work with the McCarthy family. However, Nicole could not even be bothered to play messenger as she simply just rejected her. Joyce could not help but panic. You're declining to cooperate with us without even passing on the message? Do you have any idea how big the profits will be if we cooperate? It'll be billions. Nicole frowned and did not expect it to be such a huge project. So, it seems like the McCarthy family cannot shoulder this alone, so that's why they are looking to cooperate with the Riddle Corporation. When Nicole thought of this, her smirk got even colder. Ah, now I get it. However, this is simply because the McCarthy Corporation cannot shoulder such a huge project alone, but our Riddle Corporation is different. We can take on this project by ourselves. So why do we need to cooperate with you again? Joyce was stunned. What did you say? This girl looks like she's barely even 20. How is she so shrewd? You've heard what I said. We, Riddle Corporation, will not work with the McCarthy Corporation. If we want to, we can take on this project alone. Nicole's presence was so domineering, and her pride towered over everything. Joyce was completely flabbergasted. She did not expect to be crushed by a high schooler like this. She gritted her teeth and hissed, "You really think the Riddle Corporation is capable of taking on this project alone? You overestimate yourself. Even the McCarthy family dared not make such claims. She really doesn't know anything at all. Whether we can take on the project or not is none of your concern. As long as we have enough cash, any project is within our reach." Nicole smirked coldly. If I'm not short of money, then the Riddle family is not short of money. Seeing Nicole being so confident, Joyce was at a loss of words for a good while. Nothing else? I'll be heading off then. As she said that, Nicole took out a few bags from the car. She turned around and walked into the school with swagger. Joyce glared at Nicole as she felt only humiliation. As a daughter of the McCarthy family, I've never been treated like this before. This girl, who gave her that confidence? Joyce was miffed, but she was even more worried. If the Riddle family does not work with us, that means that our family will not be able to secure this project, and when the time comes, it means a breakdown in cash flow. Gritting her teeth, Joyce thought of Martin. It looked like the only person she could seek help from was Martin. When Nicole got back to her room, she noticed that Lulu was not back yet, but June was around. She saw that June was watching something on the phone with a silly love-struck look on her face, not even noticing Nicole when she came in. Nicole could not help but let out a cough. Ahem. June immediately sprang up. Nicole. When she got up, she did not forget to hide the phone, looking all suspicious, but her cheeks were flushed red. Nicole raised her eyebrow and had an idea what was going on. She smirked playfully and said, "What are you doing?" "Nothing." June looked away nervously. She dared not tell Nicole that she was watching a video of Samuel's basketball match or that her heart almost stopped beating when she saw Samuel smile. "Let me have a look." Nicole put down the shopping bags and grabbed June's phone. Sure enough, the video of Samuel's basketball match was on the screen. Nicole could not help but snort. "So, you're being all love-struck with my brother." She had long guessed that June liked Samuel. However, she just did not expect that June, the literal study freak during the weekdays, would be so love-struck at Samuel's video during the weekends. June bit her lips in embarrassment. "Nicole, please don't tell your brother." Or else I'll really die from embarrassment. Don't worry. Nicole glanced at her. Who do you take me for? I hate gossip the most. June nodded solemnly. Yeah, I know. You're not that sort of person. It was only then she somewhat relieved. Nicole started to change, and as she changed, she suddenly recalled something. The Wallace family in San Giotto is quite an influential family. Are you going to Mr. Johnston Sr.'s banquet? June was slightly taken aback. I don't know. Although she was a daughter of the Wallace family in San Giotto, she focused mostly on her studies and did not ask about what was going on at home. My brother will be there. All 5 of her brothers will be attending the banquet, and Samuel was naturally not an exception. After June got a tip from Nicole, her eyes lit up. I'll go too then. There was not much opportunity for her to get in touch with Samuel outside school, and she needed to seize this opportunity. Smart girl, Nicole said as she winked at June. Make sure to doll up. Let me know if you're short of anything. June always seemed like she did not get much pocket money. The average daughters of rich families were not as thrifty as she was. Her sensibility pained Nicole so much that she was afraid that June was unwilling to spend money, so she added that reminder. June could not help but be touched. Nicole, thank you so much. Although she was the daughter of the Wallace family, ever since her stepmother married into the family, she rarely asked her family for money. Most of the time, her living expenses came from her own scholarship money and some allowances from her grandmother. If she was to attend a banquet, she really did not have all that much money. What are you thanking me for? Aren't we friends? Nicole teased. She had already long taken June and Lulu as her friends. June did not expect Nicole to say something so earnest and was touched. Nicole, you're the best. As she said that, she hugged Nicole from the change, even though the latter was not done changing yet. Nicole had just only slipped her t-shirt over her head, and the clothes were stuck on her shoulders when she was so awkwardly hugged. Let me go first. I'm not done dressing yet. This was really awkward. However, if it weren't for her arms trapped by her shirt, she would have pushed June away. This was the first time Nicole had skin contact with a friend, and she was a little embarrassed. June immediately let her go and said, I'll help you put on your shirt. As she said that, she pulled Nicole's casual tee down. After that, the two sat down to chat. Although Nicole only spoke occasionally between exchanges, she would at times still laugh together with June. The two were really relaxed. Inside the hospital laboratory, Joyce was seated in the cramped lab with an uncontrollable look of anxiety on her face. She finally returned to the team at Martin's Grace, but she was still very nervous, worrying that she would be kicked out if she messed up again. Ever since the incident, she dared not speak to Martin casually anymore, and she did not know how to approach him about the McCarthy family's matter. At this moment, Martin was cutting something on the lab bench with his hair messy. A sharpened pen was stuck on his ear as he could sense Joyce's gaze from time to time, and an irritable look slowly appeared on his face. He was unwilling to toss away the test tube in his hand. He carefully lifted it up as he looked at Joyce, his eyes cold and impatient. There's no one here now. I'll give you one last chance. Now speak. Martin really had enough of her always being like this. When Joyce saw him looking at her and asking that question, she was so touched and wanted to say something. Yet, when she recalled that awkward situation that day, she quickly put that nonsense away and told him straight away what was troubling her. Martin, my family recently lost a bid for land near San Giotto to the Riddle Corporation, and they've also taken a few of our projects recently. There's a new recent project that we want to work on with the Riddle Corporation. My family has prepared well for it. Could you pass on a word to Mr. Wyance? What the McCarthy family feared the most was if the Riddle Corporation asked first and got handed the project, then the McCarthy Corporation would be totally done for. Martin glanced at her somewhat speechlessly. This sort of matter was the most boring of things in his eyes, and he did not expect Joyce to be out of sorts because of that. He then said, Don't worry. I'll let Dad know if the McCarthy Corporation really runs into trouble. Focus on the experiment and don't get distracted again, or else. He gave Joyce a warning look, hinting that she should know what he meant. Joyce understood what he meant as a look of surprise appeared on her face. She totally did not expect him to agree just like that. Don't worry, Martin. We've already at the final stage of our research. I'll focus on it. Martin glanced at her, thinking to himself. Oh, so you actually know that the research is at its final stage? However, in order to reassure her, he took off his glove and disinfected himself before leaving the lab. He stood by the door and gave his father a call. The call only connected after a good while, and Martin said with some irritation, "Dad, what's taking you so long to answer the call?" A melodious voice came from the other end. "Martin? Your father is in a meeting right now. Just let me know if there's anything." Martin frowned when he heard the voice. He almost wanted to immediately cut the line, but after pondering for a bit, he restrained himself. "Get my dad to call me back once he is done." After that, he pressed the red disconnect button on the phone screen. Only then did he remember, isn't Nicole from the Riddle family? The McCarthy family actually wants to work with the Riddle family. I wonder if Nicole would agree or not. Thinking of this, he felt a little regretful. I should not have straightaway agreed to Joyce on this. After all, Dad did support the Riddle family for that piece of land. That shows that the Riddle family has an outstanding point. However, he had already given his word and could not go back on it. Thinking of this, he could not help but ruffle his messy hair, a look of hesitation appearing on his face. However, after some pondering, he walked in and said to the anticipating Joyce, "Wait a bit, my dad is in a meeting. I'll give him a call once he's done." Joyce was a little disappointed, but she dared not say anything and only nodded. "As long as Martin is willing to help me, it's more than enough." Martin looked at Joyce and felt that she looked rather pitiful. After all, he was somewhat responsible for the McCarthy family's failure in losing the land bid. If he were to just let things be and allow the McCarthy Corporation to go bankrupt, it would rub against his conscience, so he could only give it a try. Martin forced himself to stop thinking about it as he turned to look at the numbers on his instrument panel with fretful eyes. Joyce, on the other hand, thought Martin was worried about the experiment's results, so she stared at the instrument panel too, but her wandering eyes looked a little absent-minded. To her, her medical research was important, but her family matters were obviously much more important. It was only when the McCarthy family found no help after searching around did she thicken her skin and look for Martin once again. As long as they could get this project, they could recover the loss incurred in losing that plot of land. But she knew her father had not put much effort into this cooperation proposal. He was instead trying to find someone to get an opportunity to speak with Mr. Wyance and get the latter to consider them once again. However, the McCarthy family did not know many people in San Giotto, and their base was weak. Yet, they did not want to focus on their industry but instead hoped to get into places of wealth and power using connections, so their reputation in San Giotto was just very average. It was because of that did her father remember that she knew Martin and wondered if he could help them cultivate a good impression before Mr. Wyance. After all, it was said that the project's internal scheduling had determined that the tender was to be done by the governor, so it was almost up to Mr. Wyance to decide who to give the tender to. Thinking of this, Joyce subconsciously stirred the glass rod in the beaker. The experimental data was no longer in her mind, only her worries about her family. After all, she could only continue to comfortably be a doctor if the McCarthy family was prosperous, and if they were to lose again in this tender, her quality of life would likely see a downgrade. Thinking of this, a surge of emotion flashed across Joyce's eyes as she subconsciously looked at Martin with an obvious pleading look on her face. Martin, who was stern with her but still extended a helping hand, was her only hope. When she thought of that, her eyes looking at Martin were like a greedy fisher who found the riches of the deep. Martin was focused on the cell activity of the experiment and paid no attention to Joyce's gaze. He was very ambitious, and the purpose of this experiment would scare people witless. Even the members of his own team had no idea what his ultimate goal was. It was just that whenever he was just a step away, there would be a thin barrier standing between him and the level he wanted to achieve. This was the closest he ever was to his dream, and success or failure all depended on this. Martin did not stop personally adjusting the temperature of the biological solution in the test tube. His eyes were locked onto the numbers displayed on the instrument panel as he closed in on that threshold he had been dreaming of. Yet just a second before it reached that threshold, all of the cells in the test tube suddenly stopped moving and then lost all activity one by one. And the numbers on the instrument rapidly fell. This was the nth number of failures now, and Martin's eyes were a little red from staying up late. He rubbed his rather pale face as he walked out with an unsteady step, not even bothering to take off his gloves. He thought it would definitely be successful this time. This was already his limit, yet he was still unable to keep the cells alive in that state, even after he had added his improved oxygenase as an auxiliary reagent. It was still useless. Martin suddenly felt a little despair. He put his hand into his pocket and then pulled out a cigarette before lighting it up and bit it by the side of his mouth. His team members originally wanted to come over to console him. Their ability to endure was far better than Martin's, as the latter had poured his heart and soul into this experiment, and every failure meant a complete rebuke of himself. So far, the last attempt was the closest one to success. It was just 1/10 of a second away, and his new active enzyme invention would be successful. Yet, they did not know that the active enzyme they thought they were researching was only a binding reagent Martin was using to assist with his experiment. Upon seeing Martin pulling out a cigarette, the few people around him looked at each other and, with tacit understanding, did not move forward anymore. Their team leader would only smoke when he was at his emotional limits. No one dared to go piss him off at this juncture. Martin seemed to be looking ahead, but also seemed to be not looking at anything at all. His eyes were blank and unfocused. He took a deep puff as he let out a rare look of exhaustion. "Do I have the right to chase after that miracle doctor?" Just as he was spacing out, Owen carefully leaned over and warned Martin as he looked at the latter's sullen face. "Chief, the cig is going to burn your fingers." Only then did Martin realize that. He immediately flicked the cigarette, but that almost burned his fingers onto the ground. He extinguished it before picking it up and tossing it into the nearby trash can. His expression was very sullen, so Owen cautiously tried to comfort him. "Chief, don't be too sad. We've failed so many times previously. This is just another of those attempts." As Owen saw Martin's expression darken, he did not mention the latter half of the sentence. Martin knew what he said was true, but the failure of the experiment sent his mood down into the abyss. He irritably scratched his fluffy curly hair. In the end, he finally took a deep breath before he said softly, "I'll be heading home for a bit." He wanted to go home to calm down and consider if he should be persisting on this path or not. After all, he had encountered way too many bumps in the past 6 months. As he thought of this, Martin directly walked out of the lab. Seeing that his expression had mellowed down somewhat, Joyce tossed the things in her hand over to her assistant and trotted over as she softly called out to Martin. "Martin, wait for me." Martin suddenly stopped as he once again impatiently looked at Joyce, his tone somewhat unfriendly. "What else do you want?" Martin walked very fast, and it was tough for Joyce to keep up with him. Seeing that he finally stopped, she did not care about his attitude as she panted and said, "Let's go home together." "You and me." "What?" Martin frowned. "What did you say?" Joyce looked at him as she recomposed her breathing. She smiled at Martin. "Go home, of course." Martin, wait for me." Martin was not in the mood to listen to her as he turned around and left in disgust. Joyce's voice chasing after him came from behind him. "Martin, wait for me." When Martin heard that she was chasing after him, his expression turned even more sullen as he immediately walked out of the hospital. Joyce, even when she used all of her strength, could not keep up with Martin's pace. Seeing that Martin was walking farther and farther away, Joyce trembled in a fury. After getting into his car, Martin recalled what Joyce told him as he irritably took out his phone and called that number again. He was a man of his word. He would never break his promise. The phone rang for a good while, but no one answered, and just as Martin was about to hang up, the call suddenly connected. What came from the other side was still that gentle voice. "Martin, it's me." "What's the matter?" Martin remembered the last time he told Mr. Wyance to not hand over his phone to his stepmother, and the latter simply ignored him, and that made him so furious that he could not speak for a moment.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.